Let's turn now to Randy in Pinson. Randy, how can we help you tonight?
Last year I fell on the job and twisted I bruised my ribs really bad and twisted my right knee. And I went to workman's comp and they paid me for a long time. And my right knee's never gotten any better. It still hurts. So they can't find it. It was cracked, and they found that on the MRI, but they couldn't see it in X-ray. And he said, the workman's comp doctor said, well, I really can't find anything wrong to put up there. I said, well, the fact that I can't walk right, even today, is got to be something that can be done about it. And the other thing that I was wondering about was when I fell, the place where I fell was a dangerous place. I mean, it was a little bit dark, but that's no big deal. But there's no handrail, no toe board, nothing to keep the foot from. I was standing looking up at some work we was doing, and I stepped to the left, and there wasn't anything there. And my right leg stayed where it was, and I fell about 4 feet, and hurt me pretty bad. And the negligence on this, if there'd been a toe board there, just a 4-inch toe board or a handrail, I'd have never fallen.
Well, Randy, let me explain. I'm gonna let Ken speak to, or maybe we can talk about this together. But with workers' comp, negligence is not a component of workers' comp. If you're hurt on the job, you're covered under workers' comp regardless of fault, whether the injury is your fault, someone else's fault. It's not like a car wreck case or a slip and fall case where I have to go in and a jury has to determine who is at fault. If you're hurt on the job, you're covered under comp, but you're very limited in your recovery as opposed to a case like a negligence case, a slip and fall, a car wreck, personal injury case. There's no jury in a workers' comp case, okay? There's no pain and suffering. There's no mental anguish. The money that you can be awarded is based on a formula that was created by the Alabama legislature, and this is very, very complicated. I could speak for an hour on that, but I'm not. But just to know, you're covered under comp. Now, as far as the MRI goes, generally a doctor's going to look at an MRI, and if they don't see anything, they're just going to release you. I mean, there's just nothing you can really do about it. And if you proceed with litigation in the court, the doctor is going to want to look at the MRI as well. And if there's not what they call a permanent impairment rating, again, there's no pain and suffering, there's no mental anguish, there's no jury, there's no punitive damages, the doctor has to award a permanent impairment rating. And that's a percentage of loss of use of your body or that body part, and then it's placed into a mathematical formula that the legislature created, and it gives you a range of money that you may or may not be entitled to. And if there's no surgery involved, it's generally a zero. Okay, you put a zero in the formula, and you get a zero. Now that doesn't mean I can't get you some compensation for it. It's just you generally start at the bottom end of the formula instead of the top. And Ken, I know we work on a lot of these cases with third-party cases. That's where another employer outside your employer was responsible for your injury. So,
yeah, one thing that I think Randy brought up and that Stuart's alluded to is, if you've got an unsafe workplace, that's really not a reason to sue outside of comp. That's those rights were kind of given away back many years ago. But what you can have is, let's say there was a removal of a safety device, maybe a guard on a saw, and you got injured as a result of that. Well, that could be something that goes outside of comp. Or let's say you're a delivery driver and you are delivering something, or you're on the job and you're going from one work site to the next and you get in a car accident. Well, there's the workers' comp side of it, but there's also the personal injury side of it. And it's very important, that both those issues get addressed, and it's very important that the lawyers, if you've got one lawyer handling one aspect of it and another lawyer handling the other, that they talk to each other. Because if they don't, you can mess it up
and leave
leave some money on the table, and we just don't want that to happen. So Workers' comp and how it interplays with other causes of action and other entities it gets really complicated, but we see it and deal with it all the time.
And that, yeah, and Ken, that's really, that's really what we hate people get hurt on the job, but we do when someone is injured on the job and there is that third party component, that's when we really potentially are really able to maximize recovery for clients.
It's some really, really good information that you both have shared for folks to know out there.